Hare Krishna, everybody. My business is
प्रभु धन्यवाद
Hare
प्रणाम
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yeah, let us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just to let you know, I won't be able to read today. I've just got some bits and pieces going on.
Okay, no problem. You and Subhadra Mataji. Good. So let me quickly summarize what we did. Actually, we have just one more verse to finish the 14th chapter, Ideal Family Life. I didn't see it last time. Otherwise, we would have finished it. So basically, we read about the duties of grihastas and householders. And in the last set of shlokas, we heard how they should worship Krishna only, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how Krishna is the only one who is worthy of worship. That was illustrated during the Rajasura sacrifice, and how grihastas should perform the deity worship, although the deity worship is for neophytes, and things like that. Basically, the whole chapter was instruction for those in the household life. And now the last verse we'll hear how householders also should worship the Brahmanas. So let me quickly share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Saraswati. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. So 42. Anvasya Brahmana Rajan Krishnasya Jagadatmana Unanta Padarajasa Trilokim Devatam Hat. Translation: My dear King Yudhishthir, the Brahmanas, especially those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord throughout the entire world, are recognized and worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the heart and soul of all creation. The Brahmanas, by their preaching, sanctify the three worlds with the dust of their lotus feet, and thus they are worshipable even for Krishna. Purport: as admitted by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 1869, Anacha Tasman Manushishu Kaschin Me Priyakritamaha. The Brahmanas preach the cult of Krishna consciousness all around the world, and therefore, although they worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord also recognizes them as worshipable. The relationship is reciprocal. The Brahmanas want to worship Krishna, and similarly, Krishna wants to worship the Brahmanas. In conclusion, therefore, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who engage in preaching the glories of the Lord must be worshipped by religionists, philosophers, and people in general. In the Rajasura Yagya of Maharaj Yudhishthir, many hundreds and thousands of Brahmanas were present. Yes, Krishna was selected to be worshipped first. Therefore, Krishna is always the Supreme Person. But by his causeless mercy, he recognizes the Brahmanas as dearmost to him. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Krishna respects the Brahmanas because he is affectionate to them. One should not say by this statement that they are actually more worthy of respect than the Lord, since Krishna was considered the most worthy of worship among all the Brahmanas present in the Rajasura sacrifice. So here we have a prescription for householders to worship Brahmanas. Brahmanas here actually means Vaishnavas. Brahmanas who are devotees of Vishnu. And then those who are preaching, and they're the highest category of devotees who are sacrificing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. So Brahmanas doesn't mean just caste, caste Brahmanas who are in the society who have Brahminical qualities. No, in order to be worshipable, they should be Vaishnavas. If they're not, and sometimes we find, Brahmanas who are impersonalists, Brahmanas who are Shaivas, or worship some other deities, Panchupasana worship, Durga worship. This is not what is meant in this verse. Here, these Brahmanas are Vaishnavas actually. And because of affection, Krishna is putting them first. He's saying that they are the most worshipful, but actually, this is just because the Lord is very merciful to his devotees. So he's saying, my devotees are higher than me. But in reality, he's Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nobody is higher than him. And he's the most worthy of worship. So in his presence, who else can be worshipped? And that was shown in this registered sacrifice. Nobody else. There are so many Brahmanas, high caliber Brahmanas were there, Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, so many rishis. But in front of Krishna, who of them can accept worship? It's like in front of your spiritual master, how can you take a worship? Somebody who is much more senior to you, how can you be worshipped by anybody? So similarly, in front of Krishna, nobody else can be worshipped. But of course, Krishna also wants to worship sometimes the Brahmanas. So, for example, when the Sudama Brahmana, he came to Krishna's palace in Dwaraka, Krishna worshipped him. He washed his feet, did the puja, he sprinkled little water on his head and Rukmini's head. Rukmini was fanning him. This is Krishna's kindness towards the Vaishnavas, his devotees. Otherwise, he is the most worshipful person. And this is what Vishnu Chakra Thakur is saying here. Actually, there is that verse spoken by Lord Shiva, Tadyanam, how was it, Samarchanam, of all kind of, or Aradhanam Sarveshram, of all kinds of worship, and the worship of the Vishnu is the highest. But higher than worship of Vishnu is the worship of a Vaishnava, devotee of Vishnu. This is from a mouth of Lord Shiva. And why is this worship of devotee of Vishnu higher than worship of Vishnu himself? It's because Vishnu will be more pleased. The Lord is not some, selfish person who just wants to be worshipped himself. No, he wants those whom he loves to be worshipped also. That's why he's very pleased when Vaishnavas and Brahmanas are served and worshipped. And then you get more mercy than worshipping him directly. That's why we sing every morning, Yasya Prasadat, Bhagavata Prasado, Yasya Prasadat, Negatikito. Yeah, that by satisfying a Vaishnava, a Guru, you get the mercy of Krishna. Okay, so this was the end of this chapter, and Narada Muni will now continue his instructions for civilized human beings. He'll continue instructing instructing Maharaj Yudhishthira. So we have a chapter summary. Let me see. Shantirupa Mataji would like
Well, I've
read
got
this.
10 minutes. I can read quickly now before
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, okay,
I
bro.
won't,
If you
I won't
can,
be able to read afterwards. So I'll read this bit now.
please. Yeah.
Chapter 15, Instructions for the Civilized Human Beings. The summary of the 15th chapter is as follows. In the previous chapter, Sri Narad Muni proved the importance of the Brahmanas in society. Now, in this chapter, he will show the differences between different grades of Brahmanas. Among the Brahmanas, some are householders and are mostly attached to fruitive activities or the betterment of social conditions. Above them, however, are Brahmanas, who are very much attracted by austerities and penances, and who retire from family life. They are known as Vanaprashthas. Other Brahmanas are very much interested in studying the Vedas and explaining the purpose of the Vedas to others. Such Brahmanas are called brahmacharis, and still other Brahmanas are interested in different types of yoga, especially bhakti yoga and jnana yoga. Such Brahmanas are mostly sannyasis, members of the renounced order of life. As far as the householder is concerned, they engage in different types of scriptural activities, especially in offering obeisances to their forefathers and giving as charity to other Brahmanas the paraphernalia engaged in such sacrifices. Generally, the charity is given to sannyasis, Brahmanas in the renounced order of life. If such a sannyasi is not available, the charity is given to Brahmana householders engaged in fruitive activities. One should not make very elaborate arrangements to perform the Shraddha ceremonies of offering obeisances to one's forefathers. The best process for the Shraddha ceremony is to distribute the Bhagavad Prasada, remnants of food that has been first offered to Krishna, to all one's forefathers and relatives. This makes a first-class Shraddha ceremony. In the Shraddha ceremony, there is no need to offer meat or eat meat. Unnecessary killing of animals must be avoided. Those who are in the lower grades of society prefer to perform sacrifices by killing animals. For one who is advanced in knowledge must avoid such unnecessary violence. Brahmanas should execute their regulative duties in worshipping Lord Vishnu. Those who are advanced in knowledge of religious principles must avoid five kinds of irreligion, known as Vidharma, Paradharma, Dharma Abhyasa, Upadharma, and Chala Dharma. One must act according to religious principles that suit his constitutional position. It is not that everyone must adhere to the same type of religion. A general principle is that a poor man should not unnecessarily endeavor for economic development. One who refrains from such endeavors, but who engages in devotional service, is most auspicious. One who is not satisfied with the mind must fall to degradation. One must conquer lusty desires, anger, greed, fear, lamentation, illusion, fright, unnecessary talk of material subjects, violence, the four miseries of material existence, and the three material qualities. That is the objective of human life. One who has no faith in the spiritual master, who is identical to Sri Krishna, cannot get any benefit from reading Shastra. One should never consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being, even though the members of the spiritual master's family may think of him as such. Meditation and other processes of austerity are useful only if they help in advancement towards Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they are simply a waste of time and labor. For those who are not devotees, such meditation and austerity cause fall down. Every householder should be very careful, because even though a householder may try to conquer the senses, he becomes a victim to the association of relatives and falls down. Thus, a grihastha must become a vanaprastha or sannyasi, live in a secluded place, and be satisfied with food gotten by begging from door to door. He must chant the Omkara mantra or Hare Krishna mantra, and in this way he will perceive transcendental bliss within himself. After taking sannyasi, however, if one returns to Grihastha life, he is called Vantasi, which means one should eat his own vomit. Such a person is shameless. A householder should not give up the ritualistic ceremonies, and the sannyasi should not live in society. If a sannyasi is agitated by senses, he is a cheater influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. When one assumes a role in goodness by starting philanthropic or altruistic activities, such activities become impediments on the path of devotional service. The best process for advancing in devotional service is to abide by the orders of the spiritual master, for only by his direction can one conquer the senses. Unless one is completely Krishna conscious, there is a chance of falling down. Of course, in performing ritualistic ceremonies and other fruitive activities, there is also many dangers at every moment. Fruitive activities have been divided into 12 portions. Because of performing fruitive activities which are called the path of dharma, one has to accept the cycle of birth and death. But when one takes to the path of moksha or liberation, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the Archana Marga, one can get relief from the cycle of birth and death. The Vedas describe these two paths as Pitrayana and Devayana. Those who follow the path of Pitrayana and Devayana are never bewildered, even while in the material body. A monistic philosopher who gradually develops control of the senses understands that the objective of all the different ashramas, the statuses of life, is salvation. One must live and act according to the Shastras. If one who is performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies becomes a devotee, even if he is a Grihastha, he can receive the causeless mercy of Krishna. The objective of a devotee is to return home, back to Godhead. Such a devotee, even though not performing the ritualistic ceremonies, advances in spiritual consciousness by the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. One may actually become successful in spiritual consciousness by mercy of devotees, or one may fall from spiritual consciousness by being disrespectful to devotees. In this regard, Narad Muni narrated the history of how he had fallen from the Gandharva kingdom, how he was born in a Sudra family, and how by serving exalted Brahmanas, he became the son of Lord Brahma and was reinstated in his transcendental position. After narrating all these stories, Narad Muni praises the mercy received from the Lord by the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing from Narada, became ecstatic in love of Krishna. And then Narad Muni left the place and returned to his own place. Thus, Sukadev Goswami, having described various descendants of the daughters of Daksha, ends the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. It's a very long summary. Prabhupada really invested so much energy to summarize the whole chapter, and he didn't even have a AI tools, ChatGPT or whatever. Now you can just put the whole chapter in AI, and you get a summary in 3 seconds. how much more difficult was at that time, to translate, to type. Just remember these old typewriters. And yeah, we actually, in one sense, very lucky because the technology advanced so much that we can have books in all Prabhupada's books plus tons of other books in our pocket. Um, but still, yeah, there are so many uh, things that are unwanted with this. Anyway, let us continue reading. Shandiruba Manji would like to.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Shri Narada Uvacha Karmanishta Dvija Kechit Taponishta Nripapare Swadhyaye Anye Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayo. Translation. Narada Muni continued, My dear king, some brahmanas are very much attached to fruitive activities, some are attached to austerities and penances, and still others study the Vedic literature, whereas some, although very few, cultivate knowledge and practice different yogas, especially Bhakti Yoga. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the 15th chapter describes all the rules for the householder and ends with a summary. In the previous chapter, the superiority of the Brahmana was described. Among the Brahmanas, there are gradations. The householder fixed in karma is a Vipra. When he is fixed in austerity, he is a Vanaprastha. When he is fixed in study and teaching, he is a Brahmachari. When he is fixed in Jnana Yoga, he is a sannyasi. The word nishtha should be understood to be included with each phrase. The latter are superior to the former in the list. So, this doesn't have a purport, but Narada Muni is continuing the qualities of Brahmanas and the gradations of the kinds of brahmanas. Some are attached to fruitive activities, and some are attached to austerities and penances, and some are attached to studying of the Vedic literature. And very few cultivate knowledge and practice different yogas, especially Bhakti Yoga.
You can read one more with the Prabhupada.
Okay. ज्ञाननिष्ठाय देयानि कव्यानि आनन्त्यम् इच्छता दैवे च तद् अभावे स्यात् इतरेभ्यो यथार्हतः. Translation. A person desiring liberation for his forefathers or himself should give charity to a Brahmana who adheres to impersonal monism, Jnana-nishtha. In the absence of such an advanced Brahmana, charity may be given to a Brahmana addicted to fruitive activities, which is Karma Kanda. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are two processes by which to get free from material bondage. One involves Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda, and the other involves Upasana Kanda. Vaishnavas never want to merge into the existence of the Supreme. Rather, they want to be everlastingly servants of the Lord to render loving service unto Him. In this verse, the words Anantyam Ichchata refer to persons who desire to achieve liberation from material bondage and merge into the existence of the Lord. Devotees, however, whose objective is to associate personally with the Lord, have no desire to accept the activities of Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda, for pure devotional service is above both Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In pure devotional service, there's not even a pinch of jnana or karma. Consequently, when Vaishnavas distribute charity, they do not need to find a Brahmana performing the activities of Jnana Kanda or Karma Kanda. The best example in this regard is provided by Advaita Goswami, who, after performing the Shraddha ceremony for his father, offered charity to Haridas Thakur. Although it was known to everyone that Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family, not a Brahmana family, and was not interested in the activities of Gyanakanda or Karmakanda. Charity, therefore, should be given to the first-class transcendentalist, the devotee, because the Shastras recommend Muktanamapi Siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5. A Vaishnava is in a higher position than a Jnani, and therefore Advaita Acharya selected Haridas Thakur to be the person to accept his charity. The Supreme Lord also says, Na me abhakta chaturvedi mad bhakta shwapacha priya tasmai deyam tato grahyam sa cha pujyo yathahi aham. Even though a person is a very learned scholar of the Sanskrit Vedic literatures, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog eaters, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruitive activity or mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. Hari Bhakti Vilas 10.127. Therefore, even if not born in a Brahmana family, a devotee, because of his devotion to the Lord, is above all kinds of Brahmanas, whether they be Karmakandis or Gyanakandis. In this regard, it may be mentioned that Brahmanas in Vrindavan, who are Karmakandis and Gyanakandis, sometimes decline to accept invitations to our temple because our temple is known as the Angreji temple or Anglican temple. But in accordance with the evidence given in the Shastra and the example set by Advaita Acharya, we give prasad to devotees regardless of whether they come from India, Europe, or America. It is the conclusion of the Shastra that instead of feeding many Gyanakandi or Karmakandi Brahmanas, it is better to feed a pure Vaishnava regardless of where he comes from. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.30. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Thus, it doesn't matter whether a devotee comes from a Brahmana family or non-Brahmana family. If he is fully devoted to Krishna, he is a sadhu. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Kavyani refers to offerings meant for the Pitris. Daive refers to offerings meant for the Devatas. These articles should be offered to a Brahmana fixed in Jnana in order to achieve liberation for oneself or one's ancestors. It is mentioned here that the householders desiring liberation should serve the sannyasis, because the subject of liberation is also included in these last 5 chapters. Though those practicing pure bhakti should not perform karma, the devotees who are householders are included when discussing about karma and jnana. However, by performing these actions of karma through appointed representatives such as Bharata or Ambarisha did to preserve the normal social standards, they do not produce obstacles to bhakti. The 5th and 11th cantos explain that just as the person desiring liberation worships mainly the Jnani and does not worship others, so the person desiring prem worships mainly the pure devotees. Vaipurnyatamo desha. The best place is where the devotee resides. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.14.21. The devotee is said to be superior to the Jnani. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamuni. O great sage, greater than those are Jivan Mukta, and those who attain liberation is the devotee of Lord Narayana. Such as devotee who is in Shanta or another rasa is very rare, even among 10 million people. It is also said that gifts can be given to someone other than a Brahmana if he is a devotee. Na me priyaschaturvedi madbhakta shvapacha priya tasmai deyam tato grahyam sacha pujyo yathahyaham. If a Brahmana, well versed in the four Vedas, is not a devotee, he is not dear to me. But if a person, though born in a Chandal family, is a devotee, then he is very dear to me. His remnants must be accepted by all. One should know him to be worthy of everyone's worship, just as I am. Itihasa Samuchaya. Immature persons, Kanishta Adhikaris or the Gyanis, are recommended to worship the deity when enmity between living entities becomes prominent, as mentioned in the previous chapter. Drishtva tesham mitho nrinam avagyanatmatam nripa tretadishu harirarcha kriyayaika vibhikrita. My dear king, when great sages saw that people were disrespectful of each other at the beginning of Treta Yuga, deity worship in the temple was introduced. This statement, however, does not apply to the devotees. For the devotees, worship of the deity is a principal anga of bhakti. Mallinga madbhakta jana darshana sparshanarchanam Paricharya stuti prava gunakarmanukirtanam. One should purify oneself by seeing, touching, worshipping, serving, and offering prayers of glorification and obeisances to my form as the deity and to my pure devotees. One should also glorify my transcendental qualities and activities. Hear with love and faith the narrations of my glories and constantly meditate on me. Mamarcha sthapane shraddha swataha samhatya chodyama. One should faithfully and lovingly support the installation of my deity. Vastropavita bharana patra shragandha lepanai alankurvita saprema madbhakto mam yathochitam. My devotee should then lovingly decorate me with clothing, a brahmana thread, various ornaments, marks of tilaka and garlands, and he should anoint my body with fragrant oils, all in the prescribed manner. Those who are considered foolish in regards to the deity are the Jnanis. In the Nrsimha Purana, also, the great glory of worshipping the deity is mentioned, with descriptions of worship by Brahma and Ambarisha. In the Vishnu Dharma, was as well Vishnu speaks to Ambarisha. Tasyam chittam samaveshya tajatanyam vyapashrayam pujita saiva te bhaktya dhata chaivopakarini gachams tishtans swapanbhunjams tamevagre cha prishtataha upari adhastatha parshve chintayam stam athatmanaha. Absorbing the mind in the deity and giving up all else, one should with devotion worship the deity, one's benefactor, and meditate on the deity. While walking, standing, sleeping, or eating, one should think of the Lord in front, behind, above, below, and at one's side. Skanda Purana says, Shalakrama Shila Yatra Tatirtham Yojanatrayam. The place extending 3 yojanas around the Shalagrama is holy. Padma Puran says, Shalagrama Samipe tu Krosha Matram Samantata Kikate api mrito yati Vaikuntha Bhavanam Naraha. The person who dies near a shalagram or a distance of krosha from it, even in Kikata, goes to Vaikuntha. So it's
Very
a
long purport.
very long purport by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself. And in this verse, the main thing which is said is one should give charity to a brahmana, not to a brahmana addicted to, may be given to a brahmana addicted to fruitive activities, but to a brahmana who adheres to impersonal monism, which is Gyananishta. But Srila Prabhupada in his purport says that there are, firstly he says there are 2 processes, Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda, but we are following the Upasana Kanda because Vaishnavas do not want to merge into the existence of the Lord, but rendered loving devotional service unto him. So in this verse, the words Anantyam Ichchata refers to persons who desire to achieve liberation from material bondage and merge into the existence of the Lord. So, but devotees are Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, means only serving Krishna and nobody else. And the best example is given by Advaita Acharya, who after the passing away of his father in the Shraddha ceremony, he offered charity to Haridas Thakur, who was not a Brahmana by caste, but was more than a Brahmana by his devotion to Krishna, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the most of the purport is according to this thought that Gyani, Vaishnava is higher than a Gyani. Therefore, Advaita Acharya selected Haridas Thakur to be the person most fit to accept the charity. And Krishna says that I am my devotees who are engaged in pure devotional service are more dear to me than Jnana, Gyanis or Karmis. So such devotees are as worshipable as I am. That's what Krishna says. So this is more or
Thank
less.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I think this is interesting. Prabhupada says that sometimes Vrindavan Brahmanas, Karma Kandis, and Jnana Kandi Brahmanas in Vrindavan, they decline to accept invitations because it's in Gracie Anglican temple. Actually, amongst those who are born Brahmana families in India, it's a very common thing and strong identification with being born in a Brahmana family. And even those who are devotees, but still who born in Brahmana families, they had some prejudices, some preconceptions about those who were not born in Brahmana families. That's why when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he opened Yoga Pit temple, he had to put only devotees born in Brahmana families as pujaris. Otherwise, local Brahmanas would, object and protest. Or how these lower caste people worshiping the deity? It's only our our prerogative. And that was their vision. But even those who were devotees, like disciples of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they had some conceptions that were not really in line with examples of Advaitacharya. For example, I remember there was a Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami who was very exalted Prabhupada good brother. But he was born in Brahmana family, and I think on one occasion Prabhupada invited him to one of our temples, maybe even here in Mayapur. And but Pramod Puri Goswami, he rejected prasadam that was cooked by Westerners, by Western devotees. And later, or that was something in the beginning, and later when ISKCON and Prabhupada became more successful, he wrote one letter to Prabhupada asking for financial help. He wanted some help with his own mat. And Prabhupada wrote back to him saying a little sarcastically and a little in a funny way, "You are Paka Brahmana. It is true that we have now a lot of money. By mercy of the Lord, a lot of money is coming, but all this money is given by mlechas, these Western mlechas who have no culture. So if I give this money to you who is Paka Brahman, you'll be contaminated." So Prabhupada was teasing him, replying in this way. He was teasing him because he had, although he was a good devotee and everything, and him and Prabhupada were friends, still he had this misconception of purity, impurity, Brahmana, non-Brahmana, this little bit of smarter conceptions he had. And Prabhupada had to cut through it by refusing to give him any money, saying this money will contaminate you. It's money from lectures. And I think later Bhakti Prabhupada, he understood, and later he started, accepting also Western disciples, and he had no problem accepting prasadam from them and all these things. But in the beginning, it was very difficult for him. Not only for him, even Sridhar Maharaj, I think, but Sridhar Maharaj, in the beginning, he was a little rigid because he was also coming from this Brahmana family. But Supreme Personality of Godhead Advaitacharya, he showed by example when he was to give a prasad, he gave it first to, person born in a Muslim family, but who was an Amacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur. So qualification is not by birth. This is the main point here. It's not by birth. Qualification is by qualities. It's not by guna and karma, not by janma, not by birth. This is how one should judge position of a person, by his qualities and by his activities, not by birth. It's very superficial judgment by birth. Okay, this is a very long purport here. Let's continue reading. Gunaraj Prabhu would like to read. Gunaraj, were you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Do daive pitru karye trin ekaikam ubayatra va bhojayet susambraddo api sradhe kuryana vistaram. Translation. During the period for offering oblations to the demigods, one should invite only 2 brahmanas, and while offering oblations to the forefathers, one may invite 3 brahmanas. Or in either case, only 1 brahmana will suffice. Even though one is very opulent, he should not endeavor to invite more brahmanas or make various expensive arrangements on those occasions. Purport. As we have already mentioned, Srila Advaita Acharya, during the generally observed ceremony to offer oblations to the forefathers, invited only Haridas Thakura. Thus he followed this principle. Name Bhaktas Chaturvedi Mad Bhaktas Va Pachapriya. The Lord says it is not necessary that one become very expert in Vedic knowledge before he can become my Bhakta or devotee. Even if one is born in a family of dog eaters, he can become my devotee and be very dear to me, in spite of having taken birth in such a family. Therefore, offerings should be given to my devotee, and whatever my devotee has offered me should be accepted. Following this principle, one should invite a first-class Brahmana or Vaishnava, a realized soul, and feed him while observing the Shraddha ceremony to offer oblations to one's forefathers. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments, Vistaram means many recipients. So here, how the oblation should be performed, and instead of doing it very lavishly, we should invite only limited people, and then the ceremony should not be very expensive. Arrangement should not be made during those period, and mainly a devotee or a brahmana, instead of calling brahmana, a devotee should be invited, which is more beneficial because the Lord is more satisfied with his devotees who are Vaishnavas. So that is the essence.
Thank you, Prabhu. So just what struck me here, that one should not invite too many, only 2, or sometimes even 1 or 3, but not too many. So why not too many? This is the question. See, if you invite too many guests to your house, can you give attention to all of them and serve them all very nicely? You know, when you have 100 people, how can you serve all these 100 people very nice and give them personal attention? When you have 1 and 2, you know, you can, each preparation, you can serve very carefully and come again and again and ask, do you want more? And like this, you can give a personal attention to that 1 or 2 guests. If you have too many guests, it is very difficult. Then you need, so many people to serve them, and becomes very complicated. Yeah, this is one point. And then, of course, the greatest benefit is if you feed the advanced devotee, whether he's born of Brahmana family or not. Okay, so Dhanashri, would you like to continue?
Okay, yes, Prabhu, I will continue. Dishakalochita Shrada Drava Patrananicha Samyak Bhavanti Netani Vistaratsva Yana Panat. If one arranges to feed many brahmanas and relatives during the Shraddha ceremony, there will be discrepancies in the time, place, respectability and ingredient, the person to be worshipped, and the method of offering worship. Narada Muni has prohibited unnecessarily gorgeous arrangement to feed relatives or brahmanas during the Shraddha ceremony. Those who are materially spend lavishly during this ceremony. Indians spend especially lavishly on 3 occasions: at the birth of a child, at marriage, and while observing the Shraddha ceremony. But the Shastras prohibit the excessive expenditures involved in inviting many brahmanas and relatives, especially during the Shraddha ceremony. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if many relatives are invited, the respect to the pit will be overlooked. So the point that you underlined a few minutes ago, it's developed here to give to share the prasad with those who attend the Shraddha ceremony. There is some kind of it is obviously not possible to give abundant food to those who are coming for this occasion. So opulence it is difficult to feed everybody, many people. Prabhu, I think I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, if one is rich, he can feed many people, but the thing is that he will, neglect. He cannot give equal attention to all of them. Plus, as Vishnu Thakur says, some details of this ceremony might be overlooked because you will be focused on all this distribution of prasadam to too many people. So just lavish, spending and feeding too many. Basically, quantity should not be stressed, but the quality. It's better to satisfy really nicely one person, one devotee, than to superficially, give something to many. I had experience of some, festivals and feasts here when devotees, feed, invite too many, but then because there is not enough prasadam, they give a little bit of everything, and then if you ask for more, they say, "Oh, no, just this much." But my reasoning is better, but the whole point was, to satisfy the devotees, and now you're not satisfying them by saying, "Oh no, we don't have enough because there's so many people, we want to give to everybody." But then you should invite it less and satisfy those few who came, instead of instead of not giving and making people not satisfied. It's a counterproductive. It's completely, you get the opposite. Instead of satisfying them, you dissatisfy them by not giving them what they ask for. Anyway, this requires some little intelligence. It's not just in quantity, just cooking for so many and feeding to many, but the point is in pleasing, in satisfying the guests, in satisfying the devotees. Then the pitris or whoever you are doing this ceremony for, then they will be benefited. So better, to completely satisfy one person than to make a show of feeding 100 but not really satisfying anybody. Okay, so let us continue. Silvakarini Mata, do you like to continue reading?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Text 5. Deshekalecha samprapte muni anam hari devatam Shradaya vidivat patre nyastam kamaduk akshayam. Translation: when one gets the opportunity of suitable auspicious time and place, one should with love offer food prepared with ghee to the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then offer the prasad to suitable person, a Vaishnava or Brahmana. This will be the cause of everlasting prosperity. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Muni Anam is forest food or food gained by proper means. It should first be offered to Vishnu. Then it is given to the Pitris. Then it is given to suitable person.
I think you can read one more for Prabhupada purpose, because we don't have a Prabhupada purpose here.
6, yeah, okay. Devarshi Pitre Bhutebhya Atmane Svajanaya Cha Anam Samim Bhajanam Pashyat Sarvam Tat Purushatmakam. Translation: one should offer prasad to the demigods, the saintly persons, one's forefathers, the people in general, one's family members, one's relatives, and one's friends, seeing them all as devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: as mentioned above, it is recommended that everyone distribute prasad, considering every living being a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Even in feeding the poor, one should distribute prasad. In Kali Yuga, there is a scarcity of food almost every year, and thus philanthropists spend lavishly to feed the poor. For this they invent the term Daritra Narayana Seva. This is prohibited. One should distribute symptomius prasada, considering everyone a part of the Supreme Lord, but one should not juggle words to make a poor man Narayana. Everyone is related to the Supreme Lord, but one should not mistakenly think that because one is related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has become the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Such a Mayavada philosophy is extremely dangerous, especially for the devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore strictly forbidden us to associate with Mayavadi philosophers. Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Haya Sarvanasha. If one associates with the Mayavada philosophy, his devotional life is doomed. On many occasions, Srila Prabhupada is warning us how it is dangerous to hear Mayavadi philosophy, and it can damage our devotional service, because for Mayavadi, it's very hard to make progress. And actually, we were just reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, part 7, how Prakashananda Saraswati met Lord Chaitanya and all these Mayavadi sannyasis, and they're asking different questions, and actually they admit for them it's very, very hard to worship Krishna's lotus feet. They don't have attraction to perform devotional service, and also their philosophy, Srila Prabhupada explained, they're actually cutting Krishna's legs and hands, and it's quite disturbing, and it's very, very dangerous. But we know sometimes that even the Mayavadi philosophies, especially Srila Prabhupada give, I think, an example of Shankaracharya, that sometimes they're singing songs about Govinda and different kind of things, but it's very, very, it's better to avoid as far we can, especially in this bridge preaching, where Mayavadi philosophy, it's very predominant, that preaching that we are all light and love, and we are all the same, and we are all equal, or we are kind of emerging in the light. That can be really, really disturbing, not only for neophyte devotees, but for everyone. And that's why actually Srila Prabhupada appeared, one of the reasons, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, to try to destroy this Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi. And even in his pranam mantra is this, that he came to try to destroy this Mayavadi philosophy. That's all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, it's good that you mentioned this. Bridge preaching means this only new age sort of philosophies. Many of them are impersonal in nature. And then the followers of these new age philosophies, if we associate with them and we are not really very fixed in devotional service, we can get contaminated by these impersonal ideas. I know there was one famous kirtan new age singer. What was his name? Krishna Das or something. And I remember the devotees were organizing concerts with him. That was maybe good to attract large numbers of people for these concerts. But if he's impersonalist, I don't know how much his kirtans can be beneficial. Anyway, different devotees have different strategies. What is here in the previous verse mentioned came to my mind that first one should offer food to the deity and with the ghee. Generally, what is offered to the deity should be cooked in ghee. And just yesterday, one Mataji, she complained to me that in the deity kitchen here in Mayapur, cooks are using old oil instead of ghee. Although the ghee is available, somehow they don't like using it because they are not used on it, or they're just lazy to open, the ghee. So instead of that, they're using some old oil to fry things. And she was complaining, oh, why they don't think that Radha
Hare
Madhava.
Krishna, Prabhu, can I say?
Yes, please.
Prabhu, I'm regularly I go for cooking in Radha Madhav kitchen. Only ghee is used, no oil is used. We are only,
Really?
yes, only ghee. Bali Maharaj Prabhu doesn't allow any oil to come into the kitchen at all.
Wow. I don't know then what this Mataji was telling to me.
I've been going there for a long time, for quite many years, and I've personally I see the only
in Radha
in
Madhava kitchen.
yeah, in Radha Madhav kitchen they allow Matajis for festival days, so that day I cook, and I also help in the kitchen, but only ghee is allowed, nothing else.
Oh, it's nice. I'm surprised to hear because she was so confident and she was telling
No,
me
no, no.
she's not going there, but some other Mataji was complaining to her. Some other Mataji who is helping in the kitchen. So I will thank you for updating in that. I will tell her that to check her sources of information before complaining. Maybe in Prabhupada Samadhi or somewhere they might be using
Maybe.
oil.
I've never gone there. I've only gone to Radha Madhav kitchen, and there only ghee is used.
Okay, I will convey that to her that I got a confirmation that the ghee is used, that she should check before speaking it and complaining. Thank you. But point I wanted to make here that it should be first offered to the Lord and then to Vaishnava. But sometimes, we have, some Vyasa pujas, and then the Guru is physically present there, and then we bring everything in front of Guru without even offering it to the deity. This is not good practice. First, it should be offered to the Lord, and then you can offer it to Guru. Not that, you put in front of the person something that is Boga, and then, request him to honor the Boga. Or request him to offer to the Lord, or whatever the procedure they're doing it. But even to one's own guru, one should offer prasad, not boga. That's wrong. Okay. 7. Let's see. Who else is there? I think everybody read. Subhadramani says she cannot read. So yeah, I'll read. Na dhajat amisham shradhe, na chadya dharma tattvavit, munyanais yat para pritir, yatha na pashu himsaya. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony, and even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. So this prescription here is given that forbidden things should not be offered, but I guess some people were doing this. That's why this has to be mentioned and stressed. And probably today, the Durga worshippers, they may offer such sort of things in Shraddha ceremony. But they are obviously not fully aware of religious principles. It should be suitable vegetarian food that is offered first to the Lord, to Vishnu, and then to the saintly persons. Naitadrisha parodharmo nrinam sadharmam ichatham nyaso dandasya bhuteshu manovak kayajasya ya. Persons who want to advance in superior religion advise to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. Sri Vishwana Chakravarti Thakur says there is no higher dharma than giving up violence. Dhandasya. Yes, so ahimsa. Basically, we should not commit violence either by body, by killing or hurting somebody, by offending him by our words, or even in our mind. We should not think bad about others. This is also violence, but it's very high standard of non-violence. But still, paradharma, or the highest dharma, is bhakti. And bhakti is not just about ahimsa. There are so many, ahimsa societies, like PETA. How is it called? PETA, this ahimsa society in India. There is a, that they they fight against cruelty towards the animals, like dogs or any animals. They make campaigns and so many things, try to educate people. But why we are not doing this? Because it's actually not our mission. It's you know, it's mission on the level of dharma, but our mission is something higher. Our mission is paradharma, above ordinary dharma, above ordinary morality, ordinary religiosity. Our conception is that we are doing everything for Krishna, whatever pleases Krishna. And on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, he killed millions. He committed, you can say violence, but he committed it for Krishna. So if Krishna wants, we can actually kill, if Krishna wants that from us, but not for our own sake, not for our own sake, or for sense gratification. For carrying on the Krishna mission, we can commit violence. We have no problem. This is transcendental conception, transcendental consciousness, which is higher from all this welfare, mundane welfare work, like these ahimsa societies. There are many also Go-Raksha societies in India who are propagating cow protection. This is very nice, this is very pious and moral, but it's not our mission. It's not our core mission. It's something that we support. It's something that we like. Yeah, Krishna likes cows, but actually Krishna cows are not cows of this world. Krishna cows are Goloka cows in Vrindavan. The cows here, they are just like a shadow of Krishna's house. And it's of course, it's very sinful. It's very sinful to kill them, but it's still not our mission to fight in this world for cow protection or for protection of any other animals. We don't have time for these dharmic activities if we want to make our life successful in this world by engaging fully in devotional service. And devotional service is above all mundane, pious and impious work. It's a higher conception. So we have to make that distinction between dharma and paradharma or devotional service. Devotional service is above the conceptions of what is pious and good and impious and not good. Okay, there's no purpose of Prabhupada here. I'll continue. Eke karma mayan yagyan. Jnanino yagya vittama. Atma samyamani niha. Juvati jnanadipite. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Purport people in general are very much interested in karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary systems, but when one awakens his spiritual knowledge, he becomes uninterested in such elevation and engages himself fully in jnana yagya to find the objective of life. The objective of life is to stop completely the miseries of birth and death and to return home back to Godhead. When one cultivates knowledge for this purpose, he is considered to be on a higher platform than one who is engaged in karma yagya or fruitive activities. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, 759. Those on the highest level reject external actions. Those who have no material desires over prescribed karmas, karma mayan yagyan, into the control of the mind, illuminated by knowledge. This means they give up performance of karmas. Just to mention, I have electricity cut here, and my internet backup does not last very long. In the case I'm kicked out, we can stop after this, but I'll carry as long as the internet is going on. Yeah, the point here is that karma kanda ceremonies, it's for certain type of people, certain people who are on a certain level, and for them it is good. It is much better than adharmic, impious, whimsical activities that most of the people nowadays perform. They don't know what is pious, what is good, what is not. They if they can be educated, then they will know this is pious, and then they can be engaged in karma kanda activities. But for those who know better, for devotees who are Vaishnavas, who are above fruitive activities described in the Vedas, they can give up. We can give up such ritualistic activities. It is not necessary that we engage in these karma kanda activities, because by serving Krishna, we get much more. So for devotees who are engaged in pure devotional service, there is no need to perform all these sacrifices. But most of the people are not on that level. That's why Narada Muni, he is giving instructions for all these householders who are just ignorant people. So for them, these sacrifices and elaborate yagyas and ceremonies, they are required, because through that they will gradually make progress. Okay, my internet is still, yeah, maybe better we stop here, because my electricity is not coming in just a few minutes. Anyway, 10 more minutes is left, so we can just stop here and then continue next Wednesday, unless you have any
Prabhu, I excuse.
Yeah.
Prabhu,
Yes, please.
I would like to just excuse myself for the reading and the memorization of the text. It's not systematic for me. Sometimes I forget completely what I just read. So I'm sorry to everyone.
No problem. If you cannot do it, just being here, we are happy. You mean in general, or this time?
This time especially, but in general, suddenly I have to make more effort to memorize the text. So
Yeah, no problem. You can just attend and listen, and whenever you feel like that you want to read, you can read, actually. You can read, but you don't need to repeat and summarize.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you all very much. We'll stop here, and then we will.
Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue next.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.